I think we're going to have a Sandman recap coming up here in the near future. So, right, Paul? No, anyway.
Never. You will never get to hear our opinions on it, ever.
In about a year, when everyone's like, what? Yes, what show are you talking about?
Exactly.
Hey, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We're here talking about She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Season 1, Episode 5. Mean green and straight poured into these jeans. That's what I say all the time, Paul.
Yes.
We open...
You're very green.
I am. It's not easy being green. We open with Jennifer seeing ads and billboards for Titania's She-Hulk brand products. As we remember from the end of episode 4, Titania sued Jennifer for the She-Hulk naming rights. Jennifer is then informed by her boss that she needs to take care of this legal matter. We end with Jennifer going to superhero stylist Luke Jacobson. Kind of reminded me a little bit of, Edna Mode from The Incredibles.
Sure, of course.
She's trying on her new outfit, which we will likely see in episode 6. And we get a teaser for Daredevil. He's got a new suit in a box ready for pickup, meaning he'll probably meet Jennifer at Luke's boutique, is my guess. No end credit scene. Paul?
Yes?
What did you think of episode 5?
I liked it better than the last 2 episodes.
Okay.
I thought that it showed the character of Jennifer better. The difficulties of being She-Hulk and how she's adjusting to that. I liked the contrast with Nikki and Mallory between those characters, so I thought those were well done. And we got more of who's that other colleague of hers?
Pug?
Yeah, Pug. We got more Pug, but I thought it showed his character better, I thought.
Right. So Pug and Nikki basically go in search of Pug's new Iron Man sneakers.
Yes.
So he's a collector. He likes to get one to collect, one to wear. And there is actually, in terms of Easter eggs, there's an end credit drawing. It has a series of like courtroom drawing type things.
Yes.
One of them depicts Pug holding up the Iron Man sneaker, so he got it eventually.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of Easter eggs for other hero shoes.
Yeah.
Like Cyclops and Deadpool and Wolverine and Thing. So it's kind of a big like, oh, are these all coming to the MCU? Whatever.
Well, of course they are, but it's like, but that would assume that they've existed and we just didn't know.
Right. Or it's some weird meta universe where, hey, merchandising for a show that involves a character called Cyclops.
Yeah, right. Okay, so it's like, wait a minute, I thought it was just a character.
Right.
Oh, he's real?
They're all characters. Iron Man's real. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I did like the bit where, they walk into the boba store because they're like, oh, it's secretly a superhero merchandise warehouse. And so she tries to win over the barista by speaking Chinese. Yes. And he's like, I'm not Chinese. And he's like, oh. But then...
Yeah, sort of a take on that meme. Like, this is a Wendy's or whatever. This is, what are you coming asking for this? This is not what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it was.
But it was.
They just had to be patient and say the right words.
Then they go to see the Avengers merch.
Yes.
I think my favorite of the Avengers merch was the thing that was labeled Hawk Guy, which was pretty good. So I was like, all right, I give you credit on Hawk Guy. But anyway, so so the conceit generally of this episode is that in order to win this case, this trademark case, She-Hulk has to publicly reveal her dating habits. Right? She's got to have all of her dates show up and talk about her, and then she sees that men seem to prefer She-Hulk to her mere human persona, and we also again get to see she has her attorney Mallory, who I guess is a rival of hers in the comics. they commiserate over how basically those men aren't really worth her time. It's kind of, but
Yes.
so essentially it's much like, I forget which episode 3 maybe, where they won the case by having Jennifer get up onto the stand and say, yes, that guy is so delusional that he would believe, these things that he's saying. In other words, so it's like saying something kind of personally mean about somebody to help win the case is kind of a similar thing here, where it's like, yeah, I was on the She-Hulk. I was on a dating app as She-Hulk. So
well, thankfully, whether or not it was embarrassing was not essential to make the legal point.
Right.
Which is the fact that she was moving out and interacting with people as She-Hulk.
Right.
So that's the legal point, but is to establish that they could also embarrass her.
Yeah. But we also...
I really liked the whole thing, because like when Titania stood up to speak, which is not what people are supposed to do, and the lawyer just sort of shrugs, like, "Well, I can't stop what she's going to do."
Well, he does. He does eventually. He does that little thing where he's like, "You can sit down now," but like, it's like why don't we just? It was good. Trying to be lawyerly.
Yeah, but I really liked the character of Mallory. Of course, played by the famous Renee Elise Goldsberry from Hamilton, and I think there's another show that it's on Peacock that she's on too that has been getting some buzz. But I really liked her performance. I really liked how you understood exactly why she sort of doesn't really appreciate Jennifer Walters for her, the type of, you could say it's sort of Mean Girls type of thing, but she just values things that Jennifer doesn't value, and so you just get a sense of that. Like both Jennifer and Nikki obviously admire her, and so it's important for Jennifer to be accepted by her, but she's only going to be very limited in how she accepts other people. So I liked all that dynamic. I felt that was very character-based, and so the humor that come out of it, whenever they criticized her or, she had to say what Jennifer had to, try to negotiate how she was dealing with Mallory, it made sense. And so that's where the humor came out of, and I thought that was better than the previous episodes.
When you get that moment at the end when they're at the bar, and then it leads up to Jennifer going, "Oh, I can't believe we're friends now," or something like that. And, it's kind of this awkward moment. And so I think that is representative of the fact that Jennifer is viewing Valerie as almost like a model that she would like to achieve. Like, that's the attorney I want to be, I think, right? It's like, here's a very successful attorney, and she's very competent and has a huge reputation. Obviously, Jennifer's boss gets Mallory for her specifically. So it's like she's well known in the field. She's highly successful, and so it's I think that's kind of the idea, is that Jennifer's like, this is what, as opposed to say Bruce Banner, like, this is what I want to be. I want to be this attorney.
Right.
Right. I also like that, the character growth of this episode forces her to consider her thoughts on the name and the identity.
Yeah.
And she kind of comes to the idea that she really does want to be seen as She-Hulk, right? I mean, I think she's embraced it.
Well, I think one of the things I like about it is that they established with the first scene with her cousin, right, that it's a difficulty, but it wasn't until she met with Holden where it's sort of like, okay, you have to bring this, deal with this. We can't be seen as a firm that can't handle its problems, But I like the way it played out, though. It was very, like, the way that Mallory was presented the case, I felt was very concise. This point,
Agreed.
This point, this
she
point.
came off as very like, I'm with it. I'm in my element. I'm confident. Boom.
Yeah, and enjoying herself, I think, too.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, she enjoys, making arguments in court. She enjoys being a lawyer. So yeah, I like that, and I like too. It's sort of like, it was as it was playing out in front of the judge. Even I liked that in that it's like, okay, they're making the points of just saying, I'm not sure that I would find in favor of you so far.
Right, right.
So you need more evidence or whatever. I mean, above the, so yeah, I prefer this case, and it's more important to her character too.
Correct.
Actually.
It was more. It's certainly more directed to the character. Yeah.
Yeah. So so that's a thing that I really liked about this episode.
Also, we got to see. I mean, the reason she comes up with the idea of wait, I can use the dating app as proof that I've been is that she sees that guy, this guy that last week we were talking. Is he one of the wrecking crew, the guy who tried to get her blood earlier?
Right.
Because there was one masked guy that kind of looks like this guy. And then in the last episode, had a date with her and was like, can vibranium puncture your skin? And so that guy, apparently he's rich, and he's a client of Mallory, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mallory won't let him touch her.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, that character now. If he's actually a member of the wrecking crew. That means he would have been in like 3 different episodes. I'm just wondering if that is a guy that we're going to then be our transition into. If there is some late season reveal is like, oh, the leader, for instance.
It's certainly possible, and the fact that they brought him back in as a client as opposed to we've just went to all these guys and brought them in.
Exactly.
I mean, they could have done that.
They could have had Mallory I did research and I saw this dating app and here they are.
Yeah. Or you gave me these names and I brought them in for their depths.
Right. Right.
They could have done that, but they didn't. So clearly presumably he'll have some case that she's involved in that maybe she'll bring Jen in or something like that. So it's possible. I'm kind of hoping that he's not involved with it, but it certainly could be. It certainly could be.
So do we think, I mean, it looks like they're leading up to, with this Daredevil moment, that Daredevil is going to meet She-Hulk next week. We've seen trailers where they're together.
Yeah, and I would be surprised if he met her picking up his costume, because it's like, okay, well, keeping it secret except when you get it, and then people will see you.
That's a good point.
It's like,
okay, yeah,
right. It's like, and the scene we've seen is this sort of like, oh, Daredevil is like appearing, and it looks like he's being revealed to She-Hulk for the first time. So clearly that's outside, and it doesn't make sense to have this sort of
good point. It's just odd
they look at him.
They put for pickup specifically on the box. I don't know. It just felt like, in other words, he's got to show up to pick it up. That was kind of the intent there, to say like...
Yeah, because, he's got a secret identity, so you're not going to send it to his place, I guess.
Right, okay. Well, I mean, you could have done it without
he's got a costume, so he's now going to have a different costume.
I mean, yeah, if you just had the box, though, with the Daredevil costume in it, you could have made the assumption, oh, he's got Luke as his costume guy. Great. It's just weird that then they're like, no, but also, that's all. I just thought maybe there's like, pickup means, but yeah, I got you. Maybe it's just, that means nothing and they're going to meet in other ways. But that sounds like maybe next episode.
Yeah, or they could just miss meeting, but yeah, it looks like it's next episode.
Do we think there's a case, like let's say episode 6 is a case where Matt Murdock is a lawyer? Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, I guess it could be either way, right? I mean, he's got some reason to be Daredevil in something that's involving She-Hulk, and then later, either in that episode or in a later episode, we see Matt Murdock. I don't know.
I mean,
I can imagine it either way.
I don't know that this is the direction the show's going. It probably isn't, in fact, but just the fact that this episode ended with this talk of like, hey, these guys, look, I'm a superhero. And I had to resort to, these guys thought they were on my level. Like, this guy with an internet connection thought he was on the same level as me, basically.
Yeah.
Is it possible that maybe she has some kind of maybe a date with Daredevil? Like, it's like, hey, here's actually a superhero who's, kind of more on my level, who's a lawyer, who's kind of on my level. We have the same interests. Is it possible that that's where that's going, maybe? I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
Wait, are you suggesting that Daredevil has a profile on a dating app?
No, but just somehow... Okay, for instance, she sees him coming to pick up the costume. Later, they're in court. She's like, oh, it's Matt Murdock. Oh, you're a superhero. Da-da-da-da-da. Meet up. Hey, let's go have drinks. I don't know. Wow, you're a pretty cool guy. You're not like all those people I met on those dating apps. Anyway, just saying.
That would surprise me.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like either A, they typically don't want the veneer of a secret identity to be that obvious. Like, oh, I saw you in two different. Oh, of course, you're this person. So they typically don't want that.
Well, just saying, like the show is focusing on at least in part on her dating habits, right? Oh, I'm having a hard time justifying Jennifer versus She-Hulk, and I want to date people, but I can't find the right guy because they want the wrong things or they don't value me for me. It just. To know that Daredevil's going to be in an episode, and she just finished complaining about how these guys aren't worth my time.
Right. I mean, you're
there's a guy
imagining that somehow they'll be in a situation where they start dating, and that could be.
Right.
And certainly people don't only meet each other through
whatever that was, the
dating
Matcher,
apps
or whatever it was.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe they'll date. Maybe they won't.
So that is episode 5 of She-Hulk. We'll be back talking about episode 6. We're also going to be talking about Rings of Power and House of the Dragon. So come on back for all that. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
Sure, no problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.